Hello, guys. Once again, welcome. Just to discuss about the stuff we have done last week. I'm going to show you the quick reminder, a recap. I'm going to copy paste this Zoom invitation here once again, in case people didn't see it, because currently I have 28 here, but on Zoom there are much less people. So, what did we do last week? Let's just remember it. In last week exercise, we have been doing the XML files. So we were able to create an XML file by just entering a name on a specific directory. And using that XML file format, we also managed to create a file content with some data in it. In this example, we focus on creating books. So we have the first book and the second book. Once these books are created, we are able to save the file content. And in the second part, we were also able to read the content of the file and show this on the screen. So how did we do it? We first look into the file length. If it is entered more than 0, which is like the file name basically exist, we're gonna check that if the file exists. And should the file exist, we basically got the file from the pathway, the location, and then we read each element. We can put the file as completely, whatever in the file, we can show it just like that. So this one shows the file content, show all of the content. Where in this one, the one underneath, you take up a specific element and you can even combine them to show those components. So when we run the application, you can write the file name here. You create the file name, your XML file name Kane successfully created. And when you read the file name, you can read the file content. So this is all we have done last week. And we're going to continue with that. The file location is actually within the project location. So if I want to go, I need to open the file location and I will go up and you will see my file there. So if you actually right click and edit, you will see the file content being created. So this is all covered last week. So I'm going to continue this week building up this exercise even more to add more content and finish this exercise. Do you have any questions before I start? Please talk to me instead of writing, okay? Because I'm not really checking the Zoom chat. I cannot focus more than one thing at a time. The entire purpose of Zoom is to raise your hand as a participant so I can see that you have a question on your participant panel and I can give you the right to talk. Now, once again, do you have any questions? No. So everything seems okay. Very good. Well, let's go back to the exercise. And I'm going to build up the application. Yes, someone has a question, you can talk. Yes, go ahead, gentlemen. You raise your hand, you can talk.
Hello, teacher.
Yes, we hear you. Speak louder.
Yes. Deadline of the project is 25th of May.
Gentlemen, I haven't described the project yet. Why are you asking me the project? I'm doing an exercise now. When the time comes, I'll explain it, okay?
Okay, teacher.
Just be patient a little bit, all right? Focus on the exercise now. If you don't know this exercise, how are you going to do the project? Why do you always think about the projects? Try to learn about this one first so that you can do the project, okay? Getting the mark is not everything, guys. It's the learning process is more important than the marks, okay? Try to focus on the material first Then we will describe the project. Okay? So I'm going to finish this application. Since you don't have any questions about it, I'm going to create basically a add button here. So I'm going to drag and drop. A button and just call it add new book. Just making this a little bit bigger so I can see everything. You can see everything. Okay, now that this part is done, I'm gonna go into the, there are a couple of different approaches that you can follow up here. You can get all these names, such as the book name. You see when we added the book content, you are taking the title, the author of the book, as well as the number. It is possible that you can create this information before you add it. So we can actually create a form in here just by expanding it in one form, should you want to. And in here, I'm just gonna copy paste these. Why is it taking the group box? I have no idea. I'm just gonna put it here, and this one is there. So let's just name them before we add new book content. So this one can be the title of the book. This one can be author. So both of these values should be part of the XML file content that we want to store. So technically, if you go back to your XML file, you see a title, author, and a number. The number, you can define it as an integer here inside the partial class. If you want to, you can say integer. We already have 1 and 2, so the next one will be 3, and so forth. So each time you add it, you can increase it by 1. So that's an automatic number that should increase, but we will need to get the title and the author. So we need to basically change these. So this one will be title. So I'm going to come down and change its name. TXT. And this one, TXT author. And this one as button at. What was the other ones actually? Button show XML. Okay. So button add XML is a good name. Button create. All right. So this is button add XML. So we have the forms now. We have the title, we have the author, we have add new button. So what we're gonna do from now, we're gonna check up these fields. So I'm just gonna double click on it. You can do the validation here or in elsewhere. So we can do like if the text title dot text dot length is less than 1, or we can put an or sign here to another bracket. text alter, the text and the length is also less than 1, which means nobody entered any data, and display an error message telling the user that you need to enter this data. Basically, make sure to fill the author and the title. Please fill the author and the title. And only when it is else, we're gonna look into and add this data. So let's just test it out. So we're gonna build up the application, and I'm gonna come in here, and it says please fill the author and the title. And when I fill them, it no longer shows that information. So it goes into the else part. So what we're gonna do now in the else part is actually adding this into the document. So first thing first, we will define our XML file. So the XML file that we have up there should be the one that we're gonna define. So can get the file name. Once it is written down, it's possible to get the file name. So I'm actually gonna put this up there with the string. So the string file name, which will be empty initially, and also the path name initially empty. Just copying, pasting that up there because I'm gonna use this information everywhere. Instead of assigning it like this, maybe I'll just create one variable that will dominate the entire thing. So we can set it up like that. So all these controls that you have done before, such as the path name and everything, should basically exist before you check up the path name. So we can come in here and look for the path name, just as we did before. So if basically the file is non-existent, it's not going to work for us. So it is best if you keep that information generic rather than specific to a function. So all of this should also exist in every single one of them. So if I don't have the path name in here, then the program shouldn't work. Oops, we have a error, path name. What's the other one? We don't have another one. Okay, let's run it. So if I add this, it says please enter the, and then the file does not exist. Check your file name. So I need to type in there. Read the file. Now I can add it. You see, only after reading the file you can add the button. So this is where we will basically be able to add the file content. Unless you read the file, it won't be possible for us to be able to add to the file. So this is where the actual add will be added. So now that we dealt with the problems of the file itself, so we're gonna basically create a document to load the file. So we can write something like this: variable document equals to x document dot load. the load part will be the path name. So you can simply copy paste this and put the path name there. In here, we will be able to put the elements themselves. So var, which is our variable, new element, new x element. And from there, we will put each and every one of these entries. So if you go up, you will see that we have basically a book for each one of them. We have a book, and inside the book, we have a number, title, and author. So new X element will be book. So we're going to go down and type book. This is the one that we are trying to add. And inside the book, we will have new elements. New X element. And using this, we're going to add now the numbers. So the number that I have for the next one is actually number, the one up above. Because if you look at this one was first, this one was second, so the next one will be third, which is already written down there. So I'm just going to put number. So we go into there, and this is done. We have more elements, new X element. We're going to put more stuff. We have the next one as the title. And the title can be the title of the actual title that you took. In this case, title txt title.text .toString. And we're going to put a comma. And the last one. The last one is the book name. Oh, sorry, author. So we're going to put the author. So this one will be the author. And instead of txt title, I'll just put author. Now that we finish this, we will need to close the brackets to make sure that everything works fine. So I'm going to close the bracket here and put the semicolon. There is yeah, that one, and then another one. So this one is the book, new element, new X element, and the book is defined, new X element, the number, the title, the author. Every single one of them is ready now. So all I have to do is to add it to the book list. So I'm going to put doc element, and it will go to the book list. If you remember, the books were actually in the book list, in this case the books. So we created a new book, but it's not yet added, so we're going to add it to the books. We're going to type in here books, and add it to the new list. The final thing that we're going to do is, of course, to save to the file itself. That's what we did with the previous part as well. And this will be the path name. Whatever path name you have, it should be saved there. So by entering this data now, we should be able to see that the titles are added. So I'm just going to put a message box here and say new book titled whatever title you gave, You could have taken these into variables, by the way, instead of, you know, copy and pasting them. Could have been nicer. Width, say, width, the alter, and let's put a plus here, and we can put the alter title. Is added to the. So let's see how this is going to work. We don't have any errors, but we might actually encounter one during the runtime. So let's just try to see how this is going to work. So we first read the file itself. So I'm just going to read the file before running it. So all the titles and everything is read to the file. We see that this is there. And I'm going to type Harry Potter and something, whatever that is, and just type the author's name and add new book. A new book titled Harry Potter and something with the author, this person, is added to the book list. So it says it actually added it, but let's just read it and we can see it now. You can see that Harry Potter and something is actually added. So new book, the number of the book, and the name is already there. It's done. And you can also see it in all titles, the book name. Now, one of the big things that you should do is that once you have added the book, you should increase the number because then it will keep adding number 3. If you don't do that. And when you delete that, it will just delete the first number 3. So it's better that if you have the number in here, make sure to increase it, or otherwise it will keep adding number 3. Now, before I continue, did you understand what I'm doing? Is it clear? It's like talking to walls. No one responds, no one says anything, not even wondering why I'm bothering this instead of showing you videos since you don't talk and there is no difference.
It's because we are muted, so we normally type on the chat.
What is it?
I said we normally type in the chat instead of unmuting ourselves. That's why, sorry.
Yes, but if you raise your hand, gentlemen, I can give you a right and you can talk. Like, you don't text to me in the class, do you? You talk to me. So what's the difference here?
Right, sir.
Okay. Do you have anything you don't understand?
Oh no, everything is clear.
Okay, very good. So
I was curious about the increment of the numbers, but you did it, so it's fine.
yeah, okay, cool.
Thank you.
All right, I'm just gonna continue with the lead part this time since you don't have any problems. So basically all this pathway check and stuff like this, it should be done. So you need to make sure that the validation is happening in every single one of them. With the delete and update, I'm not gonna do it because it's a repetitive process. To be honest, this is not even an official very efficient way of doing it. You should basically take this pathway find and, you know, file exist, whatever, into a separate function so that we will know these parts are done separately. You know, instead of repeating them in every single function like this, it should actually exist elsewhere. So you do it once and you repeat it. But before you find the file, you must make sure that that file basically exists. Otherwise, it will create you some problems. Make sure of that. I'm just wondering if I can put a group box inside a group box, which I can, which is great. So I'm just going to put this one into here and send it to Mac and say something like add and that's the add part, and read and create XML. So we are kind of like dividing into sections. So send it to back. Back. Okay, this is interesting. Maybe I should maximize this like that. And then copy paste it. Yeah, this one looks better. Just categorizing the stuff because you might get confused which one does what. So I'm just categorizing it. And this one create XML. Yeah. So we have create, read file. We have create and read XML. We have add XML. We can do them each color code so you can differentiate which one does what. Just like this. Okay. Yeah. So we color coding it so you can follow it better. So we have two more. I'm gonna copy and paste this one, and I'm just gonna call this delete XML. Delete from XML. For the delete part, we only need the ID, the number. So I'm gonna change this as the book number. The book number is like the primary key because that is the identifier of the book itself. So I'm gonna create this and say something like delete book from XML file. Maybe change the color as well so that we will have a different color, brownish. And this one as well. Yeah, it doesn't look bad, does it? Delete from XML file. Now the thing that we need to do is in here to change this to txt book. So you can keep things organized. Right, and this one will be button delete XML. I'm actually gonna create the last one, which is gonna be the update. And in there, I will need to update basically title of the book and everything. So it should be like the title and everything. But I'm just gonna keep the update one. Just find the book number again, similar to this one, and keep updating it to a static value rather than a dynamic one. Because since you understand it, I'm sure you can do the dynamic part as well. And this one, I'm gonna change it to red. And book number. It should be update. and this one as well. So let's just make sure that the fields are basically matching. This one is txt, let's call it update number. No, it's a long name, and the same goes in here. Txt delete book number, update book number, and delete book number. And we will call this one delete, which I did already, button delete XML, and this one button delete, button update, sorry, XML. So basically I created the form, finished the design for all 4 components. Now the create part and the add part is already done. I'm gonna complete the delete part and also the update part now. Now, before I move on, I have only 5 minutes left. So I am going to end up the session here and continue doing this in the next one. Okay? Before I end up the session, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, I'm gonna end this up. Please go back to big blue button. I'll send you another invitation and we will take up from there. Okay? All right, see you guys in a minute.